Hey guys, how you doing today? I hope you're having a good one. Welcome to my studio. This is Paint with Lovejoy. Thanks so much for joining me. And thanks for having the courage to paint at home. It is a very big step to do that. I'm proud of you for painting at home. And you will get more comfortable the more that you paint. So don't let this be the only painting you do this year. Try many others. Try the other ones on my channel and subscribe to the channel so you can see when I have new stuff uploaded. In today's painting, we are painting Bailey. Bailey is a dog from Labs and Friends that is up for adoption. And I truly hope that by the time you are watching this video, he has already been adopted. But if you would like to adopt him or another animal from Labs and Friends here in San Diego, take a look at the link below and see the dogs that they have available because they are looking for their forever homes. But in the meantime, we can paint this painting, send Bailey lots of love, that he does find a beautiful home and family to take care of him. So what you're going to see in this video and all my other videos, in the description box below, there is a link to a supply kit. And that supply kit is everything that you need for this particular painting. So check that out and gather the supplies that you do need to make it for this painting. Then I also want you to check out the link for the traceables. And the traceables are a way for you to get your initial image, your initial composition on your canvas before you even start painting. And for my first time painters, this is a very useful and helpful tool. So check that out. There is a link to how to transfer your traceable and where to acquire your traceables. So again, check those out in the description box below. If this is your first time painting, I applaud you. It takes a lot of courage to paint at home. So as you're going through the process, don't be too hard on yourself. You have permission to color outside the lines. You have permission to change the colors if you would like. You have permission to paint something entirely different, but above all else, just paint. You will find that the more that you paint, the more comfortable you get with the process and the more comfortable you get with your tools. And that can only be accomplished with practice. So like I said earlier, don't let this be the only painting that you do this year. Keep painting. So enough talking, let's get you started and let's get the ball rolling. Alright guys, I hope you're ready to paint. This one's going to be a cute one today. So hopefully you've got all your supplies and head on over to where you have your setup and ready to paint. Make sure you turn on your favorite music because that only helps your comfort level. And as always, make sure you take your progress photos. Now for this painting, once you have your traceable transferred to your canvas or your panel, we're going to take this small pointy brush or even your liner brush if you'd like practice with that. And we're going to use black paint and outline all those lines you just transferred onto your canvas. Now, this is actually really good practice. I want you to work on the pressure of your brush and just kind of notice that the more that you push your brush against the canvas, the wider the line it makes. The lighter you touch your brush to the canvas, the skinnier the line it makes. So as we're doing all of these lines, play with that pressure just so you can develop a bit more comfort level with this. This step doesn't have to be perfect because we will repeat this step at the end of the painting and we'll actually do thicker lines. So again, right now this is just good practice. If you can see some of the texture of the canvas or maybe you've got different width lines, don't stress about that. Again, this is just a place for your muscles to get comfortable with the brush, and you will get better the more that you do this. So my first time painters, be nice to yourself. If you find that you're holding your breath right now, take a deep breath and just relax. You're actually going to do better than you think you're capable of. So as we work on the eye here, you will be filling in the pupil of the eye, and you can reference your traceable to see exactly where that's at. Now there is a little white dot that kind of overlaps the pupil and then the other eye area. If you happen to paint over that as you're filling in the pupil, again, totally okay. we can reapply that catch light at the end of the painting. So again, take a deep breath, just relax. I'm proud of you for painting at home. It does actually take a lot of courage to do this because you are more self-directed. So again, be nice to yourself. Hopefully you're enjoying the music that you have on. Again, if you find yourself stressing out, just take another deep breath for me. It's all going to be okay. And you will find that while you're painting, you're just going to kind of find a new chill place, a new kind of place to zone out, and a bit of an escape from the world. So if you had a stressful work day or traffic you had to deal with or personal relationships that are kind of stressful, this is your place to just relax and kind of zone out. I'm really thrilled to see more and more adults painting. The adult coloring books are really helpful. So hopefully you either got into that or you're jumping right into painting. But it's really nice to just have some creative outlets. And you are already successful just by attempting this painting. So many people talk themselves out of painting, doing anything creative because they think they're not going to be good at it. And it takes a lot of courage to do what you're doing and paint at home. So I applaud your efforts, and I'm here to help you along the process. All right. And by putting these black lines on here, this does kind of solidify our canvas or our composition. So if you happen to paint over these black lines as we go through the process, again, it's okay. All right, so you're going to pause the video, take your progress photo, and we're going to move into the background of our painting. All right, so for your background, I'm going to be using yellow and green, and I'm not going to thoroughly mix them. I will be grabbing a little color from each, but this is your painting. If you would like to switch out the background color, feel free to do that. I do recommend kind of your favorite color or something to match your house or where it will be displayed. And I am using the medium or the small flat brush, and I'm painting on an 11 by 14 canvas. If you're painting on something larger, feel free to use a larger brush. And if you're using the Liquitex Basics paints that I recommended, you will notice that student grade paints are a bit more transparent. But student grade paints are a little more affordable. They're less expensive than the artist grade paint. And they're perfect for those of you that are first time and beginner painters. That way you don't have to invest a lot of money to see if this is something that you like. But if you do find out that you like painting, as you go to buy your next batch of color, I will encourage you to step up and actually buy the artist grade soft body acrylic paints. It's going to be just a much creamier consistency, really nice kind of flow to work with, and a more opaque coverage. So again, as you enjoy painting and are buying your colors again, move up to the nicer paints one color at a time, and you'll kind of see the difference between the two. Those of you that are using your student grade paints, like I am here on the video, you will find that you've got a couple of options. You can let your paint dry and apply another layer on top of it to increase the opacity, or you can apply your paint a little bit thicker, but more of an impasto style. And again, that's a bit more like kind of icing a cake. You're going to grab enough pigment, a thick amount of pigment, so that way when you apply it on the canvas, you're just kind of moving your brush around and smoothing out that thickness. Depending on the brand of paint you're using, you still may have to do a second coat. So again, kind of adjust with whatever types of paint or brand of paint that you have to get the coverage you're looking for. There is nothing wrong with doing a couple of layers or painting thicker. And maybe try both. See which one you like a little bit more. And in this video, you'll actually see me finger painting to do some blending. If you feel like doing that, go right ahead. It's quite satisfying and it's nice to get your fingers dirty. Again, as you're doing your finger painting, the pressure of your brush will affect the smoothness of the paint. A lighter touch, you can get a bit more of a smoother effect. A firmer or more pressure with your finger will show a bit more of the texture of the canvas or even the pressure of your finger as you're pushing through those layers. So again, just kind of play with it. You are an adult kindergartner today. I just want you to relax and feel free to experiment. I do encourage you to actually do the painting a couple of times and try different things each time you do the painting. Thus, it just increases your comfort level. All right. And amazing how much different it looks as we fill up that background space and start getting rid of that white canvas. All right, get your background to where you like, pause the video and take your progress photo. And we're going to be moving into the dark colors of our dog. So we're going to take a little bit of black and some of the burnt sienna. Going to mix the two, and it is going to be more burnt sienna than black. And a little bit of black goes a long way, so feel free to kind of adjust yours. And I'm using the small pointy brush, and I'm going to be making little dots and little dash marks that overlap each other. And again, we're starting in the darkest spaces and working backwards to our lighter areas. So with this video and the series of videos that I create, I do want you to utilize the pause sections of these videos. And when you pause the video, I want you to use your power of observation and look and see where I placed the color that we were just using and the shape that I made with that color. And do the best that you can to mimic that shape. If you happen to make some of those shapes larger or smaller than what I make them, again, totally okay. I teach classes in San Diego, so I encourage all my students to kind of trust their instincts. If you feel like adding a color where I don't add it or adding a color larger than what I do, go ahead and do that. If you don't like anything that you try or want to change something later, we just let the acrylic paint dry and we paint right on top of it again. Acrylic paint is a really good medium to use and do lots of layers. So that's why it's a really good medium for beginner painters. All right. And again, if you're holding your breath, take a deep breath for me. Laugh at yourself a little bit. This is just painting. Relax. It's not the end of the world. It's actually the beginning of a brand new world that you're stepping into. All right. So pause the video, take your progress photo, and we're going to move into our next color, which is going to be just the raw burnt sienna. And our burnt sienna is it's kind of like a reddish brown. It's actually one of my favorite colors. And it may look kind of similar to the color that you just placed on there if you didn't add a whole lot of black to your prior mixture. And that's okay if you didn't. But we are placing this burnt sienna in areas that are going to be next to our first step that we did. If you happen to overlap some of these areas with your burnt sienna with the other color, again, that's okay. You may notice that if the paint is still wet, both colors are still wet, you can actually do a little bit of blending between the two shades. And I encourage you to play with that. Again, I'm using that small pointy brush and just kind of blobbing it on there. Everybody can paint a blob. When I teach my classes with flowers in them, our flowers are blobs and everybody can paint a blob. All right, so now we're going to take that burnt sienna and some raw sienna. And you can see that I'm kind of mixing it on the plate with the two shades together. And we're going in for our next lighter color. And again, it may be a little hard to see the difference between the three shades that we just put on there. So if you need to adjust your colors to be a little bit lighter, a little bit darker, go right ahead and make those adjustments. There we go, getting the tip of that ear in. I kind of covered it up with the background. If you happen to do the same thing, just paint your appropriate color right on top of the unwanted color. And hopefully by the time you are painting this or watching this video, hopefully Bailey has been adopted and is enjoying his new home. If you are interested in adopting Bailey or another dog that Labs and Friends has up for adoption, please visit their website and give these rescue dogs a good home. They give a lot of love in their life, so they do need a nice home to relax and enjoy and be taken care of. All right, so again, when we get to that pause section, or even if you need to pause the video before I recommend it, you're looking at the shapes of the color that we're applying. And if you would like to paint a different color dog, you can switch these colors out and use shades of black or gray, or you can even switch them out for really funky colors. And maybe you switch it out and use purples and blues. Again, by doing that, you're just building more comfort and more knowledge of what you are capable of. All right, so now we're grabbing that raw sienna straight by itself. It's not mixed with anything. And again, kind of just using these little dab marks. I am painting at a rather swift pace, so my prior colors are still wet as I mix them or as I apply them. So again, if yours are still wet as you bring one color next to another color, feel free to play with your blending. And if you even want to blend with your finger, go right ahead. All right, and the raw sienna, kind of like our background color, my student grade raw sienna is on the bit more transparent side. So if you need to apply a second coat or apply it thicker, go ahead and adjust what you need to do at home. If you are painting on a bit more of the slower side or leisurely side, as we'll call it, and your colors dry in between you applying the next color, don't stress out if you can't blend them, because you can only blend the paint while it is wet. So that just kind of becomes part of your style for this painting. It might be a bit more stronger lines in between each of your colors. That is okay. So maybe the next time that you paint something, challenge yourself to paint a little bit swifter, so that way you can kind of experience that blending. And if you already paint on a kind of a fast pace already, maybe challenge yourself to have each of these colors dry before you apply the next color. The more you can push yourself out of your comfort zone, the more you will learn about the materials, and the more comfort you will develop with these tools and materials. All right, you're doing a good job. Hopefully you are a little more relaxed right now than you were when you first started painting or first started doing the outlines. All right, so pause the video, take your progress photo, and we're going to be moving into a lighter color. So we're taking the white with a little bit of raw sienna, kind of going for a light raw sienna color. And again, you may make the color on your plate, and then when you apply it to your painting, it might look a little bit different. So feel free to adjust the color on your plate as needed. And what you're experiencing and witnessing is what we call color theory. We interpret our colors based on the color that's right next to it. So if you take this color and you place it next to the darker brown, or you place it next to the raw sienna, it's going to look a little bit different based on what's next to it. So again, if you need to adjust your color that you mixed on your plate, after you've placed a few dots or a few marks on your canvas, feel free to adjust. Again, trust those instincts. It may feel kind of weird at the beginning, but the more that you trust them and listen to them, the more you're going to kind of know what to do with certain troubleshooting or certain things that you might run into. If you do ever get stumped, please feel free to send me an email or message me on my Instagram or Facebook. And the email is just Lovejoy Creations. Oh, let's actually take that back, cut that. The email is going to be paintwithlovejoy@gmail.com. Information will be in the description box below, as well as my social media links. And yeah, feel free if you have questions, send me an email. Like I said, it takes a lot of courage to paint at home, and it's a lot to kind of take on. So I want to make that process easier for you if I can. All right, so still using that light raw sienna. And here I'm kind of painting on top of the darker shade that we did earlier to give that ear a bit of a highlight. And pretty cool how this has come into life and looking different and looking better as we get rid of that white canvas space. So for those of you that are painting for the first time or beginner painters, be kind to yourself as you're going through the process, because your eye is interpreting all kinds of different things and your brain is not going to be nice to you. So don't listen to your brain as you're painting. Complete the entire painting. Put it away, don't look at it till the next day, and then kind of assess your strengths and your weaknesses from there. And then paint again. Keep painting. You will get more comfortable. All right, so now I'm grabbing actually a little bit more white, going a little bit lighter, still kind of keeping that raw sienna on my brush, or the color of the raw sienna on my brush as I grab more white. And we're going to be filling in some other spaces. All right, here I actually, I think for the sake of the video, made another pile, so it's a little bit easier. Oh, happened to get some darker shades in there. All right, so pause your video, take a progress photo, and we're going to take our white paint. And because my paint is still wet, I'm able to pick up some of that light raw sienna that we just applied. So that way it's mixing with the white that I'm putting on the canvas right now. And because it's mixing, it doesn't stay pure white. So if you are painting on the more leisurely side and your paint is already dry, maybe add a small amount, a very, very light raw sienna for this color. If you're painting on the swift side and your light raw sienna is still wet from the prior step, use that blending method as you overlap the two colors to kind of create a bit of a transition. Again, if you need to use your fingers to blend, that's a good way to kind of jump in and get a feel for it. And it's just a lot of fun to make a mess and then go wash your hands. And again, these are kind of a dabbing method, almost little dots that I'm making and allowing to pick up a darker or lighter color and again blend the two. And as you paint today, you are probably about 2 feet in front of your canvas, which is a rather close place to be when you're painting. I'm going to encourage you, especially after we fill up all the white canvas space, to get out of your chair, walk to the edge of the room, and turn around and look at your painting from a distance of about 10 to 20 feet away. And that distance is the normal viewing point for artwork and kind of things in life in general. So don't be upset if you actually like your painting more from the edge of the room, 10 to 20 feet away, than you do 2 feet in front of you. My joke that I get to tell in all my classes at this point is everything in life, people, places, artwork, things, all look better from a distance. There is no escaping that. When you take your picture with your cell phone and you look at your painting on your cell phone, it's the same thing as looking at your painting from 20 feet away without getting out of your chair. So again, another kind of progress tool or something to utilize as you are going through the painting process. All right, so aside from the eyes, we almost have the full painting or full canvas covered. And again, I was using that white and overlapping some of that light raw sienna because my paint is still wet. And by overlapping the two, it was allowing them to kind of blend and create a new shade. Again, be kind to yourself. You will get better the more you do this. Like anything in life, practice. So here I'm actually just going over some of the areas to do some of the blending. You can always wipe your brush off with all the paint and have a dry brush to do a little bit of blending. And here I'm taking some of that light color, placing it on top of the nose to give a bit of a highlight, and on top of the ears to show where we have a bit of a highlight. And this isn't pure white, this is that super, super light raw sienna. And again, feel free to adjust your painting to what you need, even if you do a little bit different than what I'm painting. All right. This guy came together nice and quickly. He looks like just a perfect dog for a bunch of kids. All right, pause the video, take your progress photo, and we're still using the small pointy brush. We're going to go back to burnt sienna and we're going to fill in the eyes. Again, this is your painting. If you want a blue-eyed dog or you want a blue and a brown-eyed dog, feel free to change the colors on this. If you want a purple-eyed dog, go right ahead. And please send me pictures of what you paint. I really like to see what you guys are doing at home and how well this is even translating for you. If I need to change the way I explain something, or if I need to go into more detail about something, please give me feedback. All right, so still using that burnt sienna, going over a few other darker areas, just kind of defining those more. And a lot of painting is a bit of a back and forth. All right, pause the video, take your progress photo. And we're going to go into raw sienna. We're going to go back on top of a few of the lighter areas that we did. And again, my paint is still wet, so I'm able to blend. And it's picking up some of that white. And it's almost, I've got a bit of a stippling method, or almost a bunch of little dots, almost like pointillism. And again, because my paint is wet, that I'm applying this raw sienna on top of, and with those little dots or that stippling method, it's blending with that lighter color underneath. So if you like your painting as is, you could possibly skip this step. You don't have to do it. But again, I'm just kind of going in with what we call our middle tone, our main value, and doing a little bit more blending. So when you paint, we started with our darkest values first, our shadow values. Then we work to our mid-tones, which is our main all-over color. And then we applied our highlights, which was the white and the light raw sienna. And the more that you paint, the more comfortable you become with those terms, and the more comfortable you'll get with how how to break down an image to be able to paint by using those 3 shades. All right. No more white canvas space. This is what we call your underpainting. And it feels better as we look at our underpainting compared to that white canvas with that black outline, or even just a white canvas. All right, pause the video, take your progress photo, and we're going to go back to the pointy brush and black paint, and we're going to redo those outlines that we did at the beginning of the painting. And as we do these outlines, I am going to encourage you to actually make that line a little bit thicker than we did at the beginning. I want this line to overlap your animal, your dog colors, and part of your background. And this is kind of what gives it that pop art feel with this bold outline. Again, if you don't want to do the outline, you can skip this step. If you want to go kind of crazy pop art, you can do this with a different color. Maybe you do it with red or teal or yellow. Again, feel free to just kind of get expressive and get creative. If you need to, you can add a touch of water to your brush. That's going to help the fluidity of the black paint. But keep in mind, you never want your brush dripping wet with water. And make sure you breathe. Even if you're laughing at me as I say that, go ahead. That just kind of breaks up your energy, just kind of makes you laugh a little bit more and not take this so seriously. And hopefully for the time that you have been painting this, you kind of forgot that you had a job or you had other things to do. Forgot that the world is out there. I hope you found a nice escape as you're working on this. You're doing a great job. It's so therapeutic and nice to just paint. You're doing good. If you need to, you can put your pinky out to kind of use that as a steadying pivot point for your hand, or rest your forearm against the table if you're painting on an easel. And for the sake of the video, I have kept the painting in the same orientation to make it a little more fluid for you. But if you need to turn your painting sideways or upside down to get to some of these lines, feel free to do that. You don't have to keep it in the same direction the entire time that you paint. If you want to hold your canvas and paint or put it on your lap, go right ahead and do that. You are discovering what you find comfortable. And that traceable that you used, feel free to use that traceable as often as you want. And you don't even have to paint. You can transfer it to a paper and use colored pencils or crayons or watercolors. Use it for whatever you want. Just keep being creative. Painting, and you do kind of reach one of those funky spots where maybe your painting looks like something other than what you're intending to paint, take a progress picture and keep painting. It is kind of nice once you've finished the painting and you're happy with the painting to go back and look at that awkward stage, so that way you can visually see that you changed something that you didn't like and you made it better. It is really nice to have those progress pictures to kind of give us that reminder. And I want you to keep your progress pictures. And in a year from now, go back and look at those beginning painting pictures that you have. And maybe kind of try to remember how you felt when you were painting your first painting. And compare it to how you feel currently or at that time. Because it is so nice to have a visual representation of our learning curve. And you will, in a year from now, look back at some of your beginning paintings and go, wow, I have come a long way. And if you delete the photos or you don't take the pictures, then you don't have that documentation to go back and look at. So that's why our progress pictures are very important. All right, you're doing a good job. I think here I should be coming up and reshaping those nostrils because they're a little funky looking. Nope. So if you need to redo that catch light in the eyes, go ahead, you're going to grab that pure white paint and you can reference your Traceable. And it's going to be that white dot that kind of overlaps the black of the pupil and the raw sienna or burnt sienna of the eye color. There we go. Now I grabbed the black and I'm reshaping, making those nostrils a little bit bigger. I do recommend that you reference the Traceable for that part. All right, so going back to the super light raw sienna, we're going to put a few highlights on the nose, and I'm using the small pointy brush. And those highlights on the nose are actually going underneath the nostril. That's actually where the highlight hits on the nose. If you outline the entire nostril, then it's going to look like a pig nose. So if you do that, just go back to those colors and tone down that highlight. And we're also putting a little bit of that lighter color around the eyes and inside the ears. Again, I was using that white with a little bit of raw sienna. If you used a rather light color on your dog, you could do this step with pure white. Your call. All right, well, great job, you guys. Thanks so much for taking the time out of your day to paint with me. I hope your paintings turned out nice, and I look forward to painting with you in the future. Have a great day. Cheers. Hey guys, I hope your paintings turned out really cute, and I hope that you're happy with them. I encourage you to paint this multiple times. Switch out colors, try different things. Just get kind of expressive, because hopefully you found that while you are painting, you forgot that the rest of the world's out there. And that is the beauty of using your imagination and being creative. So again, keep going with it. As you're uploading your pictures to social media, please tag me, Paint with Lovejoy. I really want to see your progress. I want to see your final result, and I just kind of want to see how you're evolving with your painting style at home. Any comments, questions, concerns, new subject matters that you want me to paint, leave comments below. I do read those and I take those into consideration. And they do help me kind of adjust my process to give you more of what you need while you're painting at home. So again, communicate with me, give me feedback, let me know how it's going for you. Thanks so much for painting today and taking time out of your day and spending it with me. I look forward to painting with you in the future, and I hope you're finding a lot of fun with this. So again, thanks for joining me. Have a great day. In the links below. I'm gonna wait for the plane. All right, so what you're gonna see in this video and most of my other videos, it's gonna be a link, let's try that again. Wait for the plane. As you're uploading your, save for the plane.